12 incredible thrift store new Dollar Tree garden hacks that looks like designer decor. Hey there, garden dreamers and plant lovers, welcome back to Earthly Delights, the place where forgotten corners turn into living sanctuaries. Whether you're working with a sunny windowsill, a tiny balcony, or just that one shelf where your favorite pothos dangles like poetry, this space is for you. I know many of you watching aren't just growing plants, you're growing peace, healing, creativity, and maybe even a little escape from the rush of daily life. You've told me in the comments, you're juggling small spaces, tight budgets, and the wish to create something beautiful anyway. And guess what? That's exactly where the magic begins. Today, I'm going to show you 12 clever garden hacks that look like high-end designer decor, but come straight from thrift stores, Dollar Tree finds, and a little imagination. These aren't just tips, they're invitations to see your home garden differently, more creatively, more personally. So if you've ever looked at Pinterest and thought, I wish I could make that, this video is your sign that yes, you absolutely can. Grab your tea, settle in, and don't forget to hit subscribe to join the Earthly Delights family, because your garden journey is just beginning. 1. Picture frame plan labels and colander hanging planters. Let's begin where every good transformation starts, with the ordinary. If you've ever walked past an old picture frame at a thrift store and thought, what would I do with that? This part is for you. Because sometimes, it's the forgotten things that hold the most potential. Picture this: a small collection of vintage frames, a little chipped at the edges, maybe with stories of past family photos still clinging to the corners. But now, they're about to become the most charming plant labels your home garden has ever seen. You simply remove the glass, slip in a piece of cardstock or recycled cardboard, and write the names of your herbs, succulents, or indoor blooms with chalk markers or paint pens. And suddenly, each plant feels like it has its own portrait, like it matters. Whether you go bold with vibrant colors or keep the wood natural for that cozy cottagecore vibe, these labels do more than organize. They elevate. And here's the best part: you can change them with the seasons. New plant, new name, new label. Just slide in a fresh card, and you're ready to grow again. But we're not stopping there. Let's head to the kitchen aisle, where another unlikely treasure waits: the humble colander. Yes, that pasta draining metal bowl you probably already own. What if I told you it makes a fantastic hanging planter? Its built-in holes mean perfect drainage, something every indoor plant lover knows is key to healthy roots. Spray it your favorite color: soft sage green, bright coral, or even matte black for a modern edge. Line it with coconut coir or moss to hold the soil. Then fill it with trailing ivy, spider plants, or even strawberries if you've got a sunny window. Now hang it near a window, from a wall hook, or even under a cabinet, and watch the foliage spill over like a living waterfall. There's something deeply satisfying about taking everyday items and giving them a second life. It's not just upcycling, it's storytelling. It's saying, I see potential, I see beauty, even here. And if that sounds like the way you see your own space, then you're right where you belong. 2. Tiered succulent tray towers and teacup fairy gardens. Now that we've awakened your creative eye with frames and colanders, let's talk about space, because not all of us have sprawling gardens or sunny backyards. In fact, many of you have shared that you're working with tight corners, tiny patios, or just a single bookshelf by the window. But here's the secret: with a little imagination, even the smallest spot can become a sanctuary. Enter the tiered succulent tray tower, a vertical dream for those craving more greenery without the footprint. The next time you're thrifting or wandering through a Dollar Tree, look for stackable trays or tiered cake stands. You know the kind, often overlooked, maybe a little wobbly, but full of hidden potential. With just a bit of arrangement, these stands become living sculptures. Each tier a new layer of textures: stonecrop, echeveria, string of pearls. Their soft tones and chubby leaves create a cascade of color and calm, right on your side table or sunny kitchen shelf. And the beauty? Succulents are low-maintenance companions. They ask little, give much, and thrive in the gentle rhythm of light and shadow that dances through our homes. But if you want to take that whimsy a step further, let's step into something a little more magical. The teacup fairy garden. Imagine an old porcelain teacup, maybe with a little gold trim or a delicate floral pattern. Alone, it's sweet, but filled with moss, miniature ferns, or baby succulents, it becomes a tiny world. A secret garden you can hold in your hands. These fairy gardens aren't just cute. They're portals, little daydreams tucked into corners of your home, on a windowsill, a floating shelf, or beside your bed. They whisper stories of quiet forests and gentle magic. And perhaps that's what we're really doing when we garden, especially indoors. We're not just decorating, we're building places for wonder, for peace, for the small, sacred moments in between everything else. So whether you're stacking trays into towers of life or tucking tiny plants into storybook cups, remember this: even the smallest space can bloom. 3. Ladder shelf planter wall and Dollar Tree tray plant clusters. By now, you're probably starting to see what I see. That beauty in your garden doesn't come from how much space you have, but from how much heart you bring into it. And speaking of heart, one of my favorite ways to add warmth and charm to any indoor or patio garden is by using something old, something with a story. Let me introduce you to the ladder shelf planter wall. You know those old wooden ladders you sometimes find at thrift stores or garage sales? Weathered, a little crooked, paint peeling at the edges. Most people walk right past them. But we don't, because we know those ladders can become vertical gardens full of character and soul. With just a little sanding and weatherproof paint or stain, you can transform them into shelf displays. Add wooden planks across the rungs or hang planters with simple S-hooks. Then fill each level with your favorite herbs, trailing pothos, or even small flowering plants. Leaning against a patio wall or tucked into an indoor nook, this vertical setup not only saves space, it tells a story. It says, "I made this, it's rustic, it's practical, and it feels lived in the best way." Now, maybe you're looking for something quicker, something to pull your plant collection together without drilling holes or building shelves. That's where Dollar Tree tray plant clusters come in. It's so simple, it almost feels like a secret. Take a cheap plastic or metal tray, yes, even the ones with gaudy patterns or dull colors, and give it a makeover with contact paper or spray paint. Marble finish, wood grain, or matte black, whatever fits your style. Then, group your plants together on the tray. A few succulents, maybe a peace lily or two. Suddenly, your collection doesn't look random, it looks intentional, like a curated gallery of green life. What makes this so powerful is the way it elevates even mismatched pots into something cohesive. It's a subtle design trick, but it brings order and flow, something especially helpful when your garden lives on countertops, side tables, or open shelves. The ladder brings height, the tray brings unity, and together, they show us something important. In a world of chaos, your garden can be your calm, your sanctuary, your quiet yes in a noisy world. 4. Mirror illusion for small gardens and jar lanterns with plants around. Sometimes, the spaces we garden in feel limited. A cramped apartment, a narrow balcony, a windowsill that only catches light for a few hours each morning. But here's the thing, gardening has never been about how much room you have. It's about how you see it. And that's why this next idea feels a little like magic. It's the mirror illusion. Yes, a mirror, indoors or out, when you place one behind a plant shelf, across from a leafy corner, or at the end of a narrow walkway, something incredible happens. Your space expands, light dances, your garden suddenly feels deeper, richer, more alive. Look for thrifted mirrors with unique frames, worn wood, vintage gold, or even minimalist metal. Clean them up, give them a coat of weatherproof paint if needed, and hang them where they'll reflect your plants back to you. A hanging pothos doubles in length. A bloom catches the light twice. Even your tiniest corner starts to feel like a secret oasis. But mirrors aren't just about illusion, they're about light. And that brings us to something a little softer, a little more soulful. Jar lanterns surrounded by plants. You've probably seen old glass jars at thrift stores, mason jars, jelly jars, or even odd shapes that make you wonder what they used to hold. But here's what they can hold: light and stories. Wrap them in twine, lace, or thin metal wire. Drop in a tea light or solar-powered candle. Then place them among your plants, on the floor beside a tall rubber tree, in a trio next to your peace lily. or hanging gently from a hook above your windowsill garden. As the sun sets, that gentle flicker of light will glow through the leaves. It turns your garden into a retreat, a space not just for growing, but for resting, unwinding, dreaming. And maybe that's what we're really craving when we turn to our plants. Not just color, not just beauty, but atmosphere, a mood, a feeling that reminds us we are allowed to slow down, to breathe, to make something soft in a hard world. With mirrors, we expand. With lanterns, we glow. Together, they bring your garden to life in ways that go beyond soil and stems. 5. DIY beaded garden wands and painted terracotta pot stories. Not everything in your garden has to be practical. Some things are simply there to spark joy. And I think that's what so many of us are searching for right now, not just a plant that thrives, but a space that makes us smile, a touch of magic, a reminder that beauty doesn't have to be serious to be meaningful. That's where DIY beaded garden wands come in. This one's especially fun if you're feeling playful, or if you have kids or grandkids who love to be involved. Take a handful of wooden skewers, thin dowels, or even chopsticks. Thread on colorful acrylic beads, shiny ones, matte ones, translucent ones. Mix and match like you're building your own little rainbow. Once they're sealed with outdoor glue, simply stick them into the soil of your favorite potted plant. The sunlight catches the beads, creating tiny glimmers between the leaves. It's like giving your plants a crown, a scepter, a celebration. But these wands aren't just for decoration. They're a reminder that you can bring your personality into every corner of your garden. That whimsy belongs here too. And speaking of personality, let's talk about something beautifully simple, the painted terracotta pot. Now, I know we've all seen these before, but I want you to think of them not just as containers, but as canvases. Every pot you paint becomes a story. Maybe you add dots for the raindrops you love. Maybe a sun for the mornings your plants greet. Maybe even a word, hope, grow, breathe, just for you. The process is soothing. You clean the surface, pick your colors, and slowly bring the clay to life. Pastels for calm, bold geometrics for energy, chalky textures for softness. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it's better when it's not. Because these pots, just like your garden, are meant to evolve. Line them up along a windowsill or cluster them near your doorway. And suddenly you've turned a few humble pots into something deeply personal. Something alive with memory and intention. That's the thing about gardening, especially indoors. It's never just about keeping things alive. It's about creating a space that reflects you, your style, your spirit, your seasons. So whether it's a shimmering wand tucked into the soil, or a pot that tells your story in brushstrokes, remember this: every small touch adds up to something extraordinary. 6. Upcycled mesh baskets as airy planters and rustic tin can lantern planters. Let's wrap up this journey the way many of us started ours, with whatever we could find. Because if you're like most people in the Earthly Delights community, you didn't begin gardening with a greenhouse or a perfectly styled sunroom. You started with a second-hand pot, a hopeful little cutting, and the quiet belief that something could grow. And that's why this next idea speaks so deeply to the resourceful heart in all of us. It's time to look again at mesh baskets, the kind you often find at the Dollar Tree or tucked into the back corner of a thrift store. Maybe you used one for laundry once. Maybe it used to hold kitchen gadgets. But today, it's getting a second life as a breathable, lightweight planter. Line the basket with coconut fiber or moss to hold the soil. Then nestle in a plant that loves air, ferns, trailing philodendron, or even an orchid if you're feeling bold. Hang it from a hook by the window. Place it on a side table, or let it hover in your kitchen corner like a floating garden halo. The open weave allows roots to breathe, giving your plants the airflow they crave while offering a textured, almost industrial contrast to their soft green leaves. It's beauty through balance, rough and delicate, found and transformed. And just when you think you've seen the last of what's possible with old objects, here comes one more idea that brings warmth in the most unexpected way. Rustic tin can lantern planters. You've probably tossed 100 of them over the years: bean cans, soup cans, tomato paste. But the next time you finish one, rinse it out and hold it in your hands a moment longer. With a simple nail and hammer, you can punch patterns into the metal: stars, spirals, even initials. Spray it with matte black or warm bronze paint. Or leave it raw for that naturally weathered look. Then choose your path. Fill it with a small succulent. Or drop in a tea light. Either way, what you're creating is more than a planter or a lantern. You're crafting ambience. Line them along your balcony ledge. Cluster them by your back door. Let them glow among your houseplants at night, flickering with life and effort and intention. Because every plant you place, every container you repurpose, is proof of something deeper, that beauty doesn't have to be bought. That transformation can begin right where you are, with what you have, with who you are. And just like that, the story of your garden continues, not in grand gestures, but in tiny, everyday acts of creativity. Grow beauty, not budget. And there you have it, 12 humble ideas, each born from thrifted finds, second chances, and a little imagination. But what you've seen today isn't just a list of hacks. It's a way of seeing the world, and your space, differently. Because maybe you're not just someone with a few potted plants on a shelf. Maybe you're someone who's building a sanctuary in the middle of a noisy world. Maybe you're the kind of person who finds quiet joy in watering a plant before the sun rises. Who smiles when new leaves unfurl? Who believes that even a tiny balcony can bloom into something extraordinary? That's who this video was made for. For you. For the dreamers with dirt under their nails. For the creatives making beauty on a budget. For the caretakers turning tired corners into life-filled havens. You don't need matching pots. You don't need a landscaper or a fancy greenhouse. All you need is a bit of vision and the courage to try. Whether you use a picture frame to label your basil, a colander to cradle your ivy, or a tin can that now flickers with warm light, what matters most is that you showed up for your space. You turned, not much, into more than enough. And that's what we celebrate here at Earthly Delights, not perfection, but transformation, not money, but meaning, not just growing plants, but growing presence, creativity, and peace. So as you walk back into your home today, take one last look around. That empty shelf? That quiet corner? It's not waiting for a professional, it's waiting for you. If this video stirred something in you, if it gave you a spark or a new idea, I'd love for you to subscribe. Give it a like, and share your favorite hack in the comments. Your voice, your garden, your story, they matter here. Until next time, stay rooted, stay creative, and keep tending to the beauty that grows when you least expect it. This is Earthly Delights, and I'll see you in the next bloom.